The escape room. Alex had been looking forward to this night for weeks. His life had been stuck on repeat lately: work, eat, sleep, and repeat. So when his friend Matt mentioned an underground escape room experience that only a few could get into, Alex thought it would be the perfect distraction. He arrived at the address just before 8 p.m., glancing around the deserted alley. The building was nothing special, just an old, brick structure with no sign to indicate it was home to the exclusive escape room. If anything, it looked like an abandoned warehouse. As Alex stood there, he felt an odd sense of unease, but he shook it off. It was just a game, after all. He entered through the heavy, metal door, finding himself in a dimly lit lobby. A woman sat behind a small desk, tapping on a tablet. She was dressed in all black, and her eyes flicked up as he approached. "Name?" she asked, her tone flat. Alex. Alex Gray," he replied, looking around the sparsely decorated room. She didn't respond, just scrolled through her tablet until she found his name, and nodded. "You're in room 6. Follow me," she said, standing up without another word. Alex followed her down a narrow corridor, the walls lined with faded posters advertising escape rooms from years past. Each door they passed had a number on it, all the way up to 6. She stopped there and turned to him with a smile that felt as hollow as the silence in the building. "The rules are simple," she said. "You have 1 hour to solve the puzzles inside and escape. The door will lock once you're inside. There are cameras for safety, so if anything goes wrong, we're watching. Good luck." Before Alex could ask any questions, she opened the door and gestured for him to step in. He hesitated for a split second, feeling the unease from earlier return, but then he walked inside. The room was smaller than he expected. Dim light from a single bulb illuminated the space, casting long shadows across the walls. Heavy, dark curtains covered the windows, making the room feel even more confined. In the center, there was a wooden table with a few scattered items, an old clock, a lockbox, and a worn-out photograph in a cracked frame. To his right, there was a bookshelf full of dusty books, some of which looked like they hadn't been touched in decades. In the corner, a large mirror stretched from floor to ceiling, reflecting the dimly lit space. Alex's heart began to race a little. He had done escape rooms before, but this one felt different, more personal, somehow. He walked over to the table and picked up the photograph. It showed a young boy, no older than 10, sitting on a swing in a park. Something about the picture felt oddly familiar, but Alex couldn't place it. He flipped it over, finding a few words scribbled on the back in messy handwriting. Asterisk, time reveals all. Asterisk, what the hell does that mean? He muttered to himself, setting the picture down. His eyes moved to the clock on the table. It wasn't ticking, just frozen at 3:15. Instinctively, he picked it up, feeling the weight of it in his hands. The back had been tampered with, a small compartment that looked like it could be opened. He tried to pry it open with his fingernail but stopped when he heard something behind him, a faint shuffling sound, like someone moving. Alex whipped around, but the room was empty, just as it had been. His eyes fell on the mirror in the corner. The air felt colder now, and the silence grew heavier. He moved closer to the mirror, staring at his own reflection, but something felt off. For a second, it almost looked like his reflection was delayed, as if it moved just a fraction of a second too late. He blinked and took a step back, shaking his head. "Get a grip, Alex," he whispered to himself, trying to focus on the task at hand. He turned his attention back to the clock and worked to open the small compartment on the back. After a few moments, it popped open, revealing a small key inside. Alex smirked. "All right, first clue," he said to no one in particular. He took the key and moved toward the lockbox on the table, sliding the key into the small brass lock. It clicked open, and inside, he found a folded piece of paper. He unfolded it slowly, his eyes scanning the neat handwriting. Underscore. "Welcome, Alex. This is more than a game. Here, you will face your past. Only by confronting what you tried to forget can you escape." Underscore. His heart skipped a beat. How did they know his name? This was supposed to be anonymous. He hadn't told anyone much about himself when signing up for the game. Before he could think about it too much, the door behind him slammed shut with a loud asterisk bang asterisk. Alex jumped, rushing to the door and trying the handle. "Locked." "Hey," he yelled, pounding on the door. "What's going on?" There was no response. He turned back to the room, feeling a growing sense of dread. This wasn't normal. Escape rooms didn't lock you in like this, not without some kind of emergency release. His eyes moved to the mirror again. This time, the reflection looked wrong. His reflection was standing perfectly still, while he was clearly moving. Alex froze, his breath catching in his throat. Then, without warning, the reflection smiled Alex stumbled back, his heart hammering in his chest. This couldn't be real. He blinked, rubbing his eyes, but when he looked again, his reflection was back to normal. But now, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching him. He backed away from the mirror and tried to steady his breathing. Focus. He told himself, it's just a game. It has to be. He glanced at the clock again. 45 minutes left. The game was just beginning.